started with that first email question of the night. Oh, this one is from Courtney. It's not from me, but it's from another Courtney. If you win a big case in court, how long does it take for the person you're representing to get their money? And do they get it all at once or in installments? That's a great question from a great name, right?
It is, Courtney. and you didn't have to pretend it wasn't from you.
I know. I'm sorry.
Again, I always say this. I'm going to give you the traditional lawyer response is it depends. But usually once a case is resolved, money is paid out fairly quickly. Usually when cases get resolved, they're either resolved through settlement between the parties. Sometimes if the case is in litigation, you go to a mediation and there's a settlement at a mediation, or sometimes you try the case and there's a verdict that has to be paid at trial. If you settle your case at a mediation, there's actually a statute that requires payment within 20 days from signing a release. But beyond that, it usually takes a few weeks to process payments. During that time, the lawyer is typically dealing with lien holders and medical providers who might have account balances, verifying those to see if there's money that has to be paid from the settlement. But usually you're talking once a case is settled, anywhere from a couple weeks up to maybe 3 or 4, just depending on the circumstances. But it's usually not too long after a case resolves. Now, you typically do get your money in a lump sum. However, sometimes you can elect to do what is called a structured settlement. And this is something we typically do whenever there is a claim involving a minor child, because you don't just give a minor child, if they're involved in a wreck, if they're injured, you don't give a child a stack of cash. You're not supposed to do that. You put it in a restricted account. If you put it in a restricted account, that money has to be guarded over. There's actually a guardianship that has to be opened up. You have to do annual reportings. The court wants to make sure that the money is safe. You can avoid that a lot of times by doing what's called a structured settlement, which is actually, it's an annuity, which is an insurance product. You take the money, you buy an annuity, and then that annuity will pay you out in installments based on the plan that you elect. So if you have a child, or if you have somebody that's under the age of 18 and they're involved in an injury, they have a wreck, a car wreck, slip and fall, whatever it may be, parents may sometimes want to elect to put that money into a structured settlement. Then they can elect when that money gets paid out and how it gets paid out. Oftentimes I see people say, well, my child was in this wreck. I don't want them just having all the money at the age of 18. What can I do? And you can set up a college fund. You can say, I want this money to go in this annuity and I want it to pay out at ages 18, 19, 20, and 21. Some people say, I don't want to do that. I want my money to sit there and grow a little bit longer, and I want the kid not to get the money until they're 25 or 30. You can set that up, and in those cases, you would have periodic payments, but it's on a schedule that you select that works best for you and your circumstances.
So Les, just a quick follow-up there. Even if the child is 18 years old, they can still, the parents or the guardians of that child can still say, we don't want you to have that money until you're 25.
Not if they're 18, unless they've been adjudicated, they lack capacity, they're incompetent, and they can't make the decisions for themselves, in which case they probably already have a guardian if they're over the age of 18. But if you're 18 years of age or older, you can say, I want my money and I want it all right now. Now, some people still want to put that money away because an annuity will grow tax-free and it will pay out tax-free as well. And so it doesn't have the same return rates that you might see in the stock market if you wanted to take your money and invest it, but you do get a guaranteed growth from the annuity. And when you factor in that there's no tax involved in it, a 3 or 4% annual can turn into a 5 or 6 or sometimes even 7% realized gain when you start talking about the tax implications that you can completely do away with when you structure your money. So it's one of the things that we talk to our clients about. If we recognize as attorneys that, hey, this might be a case where there's somebody that has a special need, maybe they need something later on down the road, maybe you are dealing with a child, maybe there is something that we project out of the future. That's something we can always talk to them about, and they can decide what's best for them. Of course, we don't give financial advice. We always tell people, talk to your financial advisor for that. But there are certainly products out there, if you didn't want or didn't need all the money up front, there are certain ways you can structure that money to give you a little bit more of a return if you're willing to sit back and let it work for you.